You're listening to A Midlife Less Ordinary, the weekly podcast giving you the lowdown on becoming a cool older dude. The good times are not a faded memory. It's time to start living them again. And here are your hosts, Wayne and Trev.
Hello and welcome to A Midlife Less Ordinary, and this episode is entitled Antique Bottle Collecting. I'm digging your dump. My name's Wayne, and Trev's here also.
10 green bottles hiding in your dump.
No, Trev. We've given up on the musical intro. We've gone back to our old intro. What?
What do you mean? I don't get it.
Well, we did do that on one episode, and I know we're talking about. Yeah,
I've rehearsed that all week. I've spent money on a vocal train for that.
Well, do you want to do like 40 minutes?
George Michael went to. Same guy.
Oh my God, that's why. Yeah, I'm not even going to where this conversation's going at this early in the episode.
I met him in a toilet.
Yeah, I knew it was going there. Yeah, next we're going to hear about cottages and things. I just can't even go there. Thanks. Sorry, Trev, that you put in all that practice, but yeah, we'll give you an episode where you can sing A Million Green Bottles.
I'll be able to use it somewhere.
Exactly. This episode, as we say, is all about antique bottle collecting. We have an expert, Paul Cunningham, who's going to tell us all about the hobby, and you'll find out why we've referenced the subtitle "I'm Digging Your Dump" during the interview, I'm sure. Trev, what do you know about bottle collecting?
Nothing.
Okay.
Nada. Well, not a thing.
Thanks for that.
Not a thing.
Right, go back to sleep. But you never sort of, when you was a kid, used to go over the fields and sort of accidentally come across things?
The closest I've ever got was collecting milk bottles with adverts on when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
And I think my brother still got them. So I don't know if they're worth any money. If anybody phones, you can contact us on there and say, like, yeah, they are worth something. I don't know.
Whoa.
But they used to have adverts on.
Oh,
like
cool.
For cornflakes and stuff.
Oh, wicked.
Yeah.
Well, that is.
Do you remember that?
Vintage. No, I don't actually. No.
Right. Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did. You look them up. You can look them up. They are, yeah. But this is obviously, these are a little bit more antique and a little bit more special than my milk bottles.
Well, yeah. I can say I've accidentally come across some of these bottles when I was a kid. I just used to go. I mean, now these places have been built over and that. But when we used to go, there used to be lots of football grounds and things. I remember going over the back there, sort of like you did when you was a kid, just climbing trees and things.
Because you had no toys.
I had no home. I had no toy. Yeah, I was like stick at the dump. Yeah, so finding glass was my only pastime.
Wayne, go and play with the mud. Go and play with the mud because that's all you're going to get.
Plenty of people would agree with me that was better times than the ones that are locked away now, I'm sure. But I remember finding some sort of antique Second World War bottles at the time. I remember referencing, but obviously we didn't have the internet in these days. So hopefully Paul can teach us a bit about what it's all about, what's good about it, and frustrating, and if there's any sort of holy grail of the bottle collecting.
I'm looking forward to finding something about this because I don't know anything about it at all.
Well, you got a lot of bottle being on here, I'll tell you that. So without any further ado, let's go over to Paul, and welcome to the show. So thank you for joining us today, Paul. It's really nice to have you on, and bottle collecting, I believe it's called. Is there an actual other kind of scientific name for it, Paul, at all?
Well, thanks for inviting me, first of all. I mean, it's bottle collecting, really, which involves digging them up. So I suppose it gets called bottle digging, bottle collecting. I mean, I do collect bottles that I don't dig up. You know, you can buy bottles on eBay and auction sites, and you swap with other collectors as well. But the real fun of it is digging them up.
How did you start, basically, Paul? I mean, did somebody give you a bottle? Did you find one, or did you buy one?
You just fell down a hole.
Fell down a hole.
There's a bottle down there. That looks pretty. I'll have that.
Well, I think it goes back a long way. I mean, I'm in my 50s now, and in the sort of late 70s, early 80s, it was a bit of a craze. It was quite a big hobby, and I can't remember how I really got involved. I think I might have seen. I think I had a friend's brother who was a collector, and I just got interested in them. So I did. I first started bottle digging when I was probably 15, 16, or perhaps younger, 14, 15. and didn't really carry on for that long, and probably stopped in the early 80s. And it's because of the lockdown and having no work, it rekindled my interest in it, and I started going out exploring again. So for the last year, I've been actively digging again, which has been great fun.
We've actually got a midlife less ordinary first here, Paul. I've actually done a bit of research.
Wow.
Yeah, I've actually done a little bit of research because I couldn't trust Wayne to do it.
Here we go. Always having a go at me.
Some of the stuff Wayne comes up with, I'm like, that's not really relevant, to be honest. But I've read that they term it as dump digging. Is that a term that's used?
Well, it is, but it is really a term that Americans use, because bottle digging, bottle collecting is worldwide, mainly in the colonial countries, Australia, America, of course, and South Africa. So it's a kind of an Americanism, whereas football or soccer,
Right, cool. I understand. Yeah.
So there's more bottle collecting over here.
Yeah, because really, if you're calling it dump digging, it's not got any reference to bottles, is it?
No, you're just digging
if
in the dump.
If someone said, I'm a dump digger, I'd say Wayne's a dump digger, to be honest.
I was going to be nice today.
Well, I've done your job for a change, that's why. But yeah, that you wouldn't think that. There's no reference to bottles at all, is there? So you wouldn't know what a bottle collector is from that term dump digging. You really wouldn't.
No, not necessarily. No, I mean, dumps are full of interesting things apart from bottles. It's a kind of study of social history, really, of this age that you're digging. The bottles and the dumps that you're digging. You're discovering about people's lives and what they used. I mean, it's not uncommon. You dig up lots of things apart from bottles, like old shoes and children's toys, clay pipes, all sorts of stuff that the Victorians and Edwardians would use in their daily lives. Just anything really, like they would have thrown in their bin, just like we do today. If you look in your bin in the kitchen, you chuck everything in there, don't you? Well, not so much recycling as well, but so anything that went in the bin ended up in the dump.
So there was obviously no recycling in Victorian times, I'm guessing. They were all kind of handmade as well, Paul, weren't they? So it's got a lot of work gone into these bottles, and then people just throwing them into the local tip kind of thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, bottles were a very expensive thing for the brewers and the manufacturers to purchase, probably the most expensive thing. So most of them had returns on them, which is strange because they ended up in the dump. But people obviously couldn't be bothered to go and get their, a quarter D return, which is, I don't know if you remember, but years back we used to go around to the park and collect our white bottles because you used to get 2.5 pence or something back and go into the sweet shop. But they still ended up in the dump. But they were a very expensive part. So the idea from a brewer would be, to have the bottles reused many times.
Yeah, and they'd love it.
When I was looking at it, the pictures and that, all of them are really sort of colourful and like different shapes. Is that what a lot of collectors go for? Because there's blues, there's browns, and why did the colours really signify anything? Like was like a lemony drink blue, and am I thinking a bit too advanced for then? I don't know.
No, you're not. I mean, poison bottles were always either green or blue.
Right.
And so that would be a way of identifying them. And they also put ribs on them. So if anyone was had poor eyesight, or as in many Victorian homes, or the lighting was poor, so no one got up in the middle of the night and had a swig out of a rat poison bottle because it was not only would it.
Am I being stupid in saying
did have ribs on it?
Did they have? Am I being silly in saying that they might have had a skull and crossbones cut into them or something?
Oh, here we go.
What?
Basics.
What?
Basics. Jesus.
I've seen that in.
Paul's obviously a really intelligent man, and you're just saying like, "Oh look, don't touch that because it's got." They're not pirates, Wayne. They're not pirates, are they? Let's be honest.
Well, they might.
Well, Trevor, I'm afraid you're wrong. Wayne's obviously been doing his research.
Right. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, I was just waiting for that. Yeah, thanks, Paul.
You're not coming on again, Paul. You're not.
If you're lucky enough to find one with the skull and crossbones on it, then it's it'll be what we call a minter. Really, that's a top bottle. It'll be worth a lot of money.
Wow.
Quite rare.
So that's what I was going to say, actually, Paul. Out of all these bottles and the lovely colours they come, which obviously for decorative purposes, is there any that are like the Holy Grail as such, like not like Raiders of the Lost Ark before Trevor jumps in again, but are there any that are sort of super collectible, maybe worth more than others, or some people are looking for and will dig up like 10 dumps to find?
Choose wisely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the bottles, their value will range from 50 pence up to staggering amounts of money. I mean, I was recently very privileged. This sounds rather sad, doesn't it? I was very privileged recently to actually see someone's bottle that was what we call a cobalt blue cod bottle. Which really is the Holy Grail, and was worth in excess of £10,000.
Wow!
Whoa!
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Is that because they're very rare, Paul?
They're extremely
Is that what
rare.
they're valued?
They didn't. Yeah. Yes. I mean, they didn't make many because cobalt glass was expensive to manufacture. So yeah, they're rare in essence. Yeah.
And Trev decided to do action figures. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I've not.
Yeah.
I've not got a blue cod bottle, but I've got various cod bottles that are worth money.
Yeah.
But I haven't got a blue one. If I did, I'd be a very lucky man.
You wouldn't be on this show, Paul, if you had one of them. Yeah, you wouldn't be on this show. You'd be like highbrowing it on, what's that dude's name that's got the top podcasting? Wayne?
The Joe Rogans of the...
Joe Rogan. You'd be sitting on the Joe Rogan show, mate, if you had that kind of money.
To be honest, Paul, you've got a lot of bottle coming on this programme.
Well,
here we go.
Waiting to get on
I've been typing that one all day. I've done that one this morning.
Yeah.
Phew, got it.
Yeah, it's typical. Does any of this come from sort of metal detecting? Because is it worth using a metal detector? Because can you find?
I know.
I've read.
Well, sorry, Trev.
Oh, go on, Paul. No, you're the expert. I'm just
no, I mean, a lot of people who collect bottles also do metal detecting because I suppose it's kind of treasure hunting in its essence. But you could use. I mean, I have heard of people using metal detectors just to find the metal in the ground, which is normally associated with rubbish dumps. There's normally metal objects in there too, because of course the metal detector wouldn't pick up any of the glass.
No.
It might give you an indication of where you might want to start looking.
Oh right, yes, that does make a bit more sense. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Because I thought it was. Sorry. Yeah, I thought it was like, why would you use a metal detector to look for glass? But if you're looking, obviously, yeah, it does make a lot more sense, that, Paul. It really does.
Yeah, I think it's an aid. It's something that I've never done, but I know a lot of people who do collect bottles also, enjoy metal detecting.
Mm.
Is there on my, it's like Trevor said, we do a basic amount of research on this program only because obviously we could do a lot more, Paul, but
to be honest, Paul, I didn't do a basic research. I did quite a decent one.
Yeah, that's why you knew about skull and crossbones before you keep going on. So
well, that was good research from Wayne.
Yeah, thank you, Paul. Yeah.
Again, you're not coming on again, Paul.
Even when you get that blue cobalt one, he's going to say. But I've heard that's on my small amount of research, Paul, that there's a Pontil mark on the bottom of a bottle that you can tell a lot from.
You can. I mean, not a Pontil mark is like you've probably seen the pictures of man blowing a bottle on a stick. That's a Pontil rod. And when they finish blowing it, they snap it off.
Yes.
So on the base of the bottle, you'd see it's like a swirly whirly where it snapped the glass off when it was still molten. So Pontil bottles are very old. I mean, they probably didn't really make many after the sort of 1850s or 60s, if I'm correct. So it's normally a sign of a much older bottle if it's got a Pontil mark on the base.
So you've sort of hit a jackpot, if you like, if you find one with that on.
Yeah. I mean, you do find them. I found one recently, a wine bottle with a Pontil mark on it, which makes them interesting because it's just to think that it was stuck on the end of someone's rod.
Yeah, Trevor's.
Well, to be honest, Wayne's quite used to blowing a lot of rods.
Oh, here we go. Yeah,
I've heard. Especially around docks
he takes
and
it
stuff.
to
I've heard
such dark places.
Yeah, he hangs about docks and stuff and blows a lot of rods. I didn't think there was a lot of glass manufacturing near docks, to be honest, but you can only get the work where you can find it, I dare say, Paul. What's your prized possession in your collection? How many bottles have you got, Paul, roughly?
Do you know, I couldn't really answer that question.
Really?
I wouldn't know. I would. I mean, I'm standing looking at some of my collection now, and I've got hundreds, probably thousands.
Because you sent some pictures to us, which I've looked at, and you do have a lot of bottles.
I have a lot of bottles, that's for sure.
Yeah.
It's such a good joke. Paul said it again as well.
Yeah, we're all going to do it. All three of us are going to do it.
No, I couldn't really answer that because there's so many. But I try to sort of refrain from having them all on show because it would be rather ridiculous. So you kind of pick your best ones.
Yeah, which is your best one, Paul? Would you say?
Well, that's a hard question. Probably one of my cod bottles, I would have thought.
Yeah.
I'm quite.
Was that more difficult to find than the rest of them, or just stumbled across it?
Well, they are difficult to find. They were one of the most mass-produced bottles because they normally had mineral water or soda pop in them, and sometimes ginger beer. But they're the ones that you might have seen around where they have a marble in the neck, which is quite an oddity. And the reason they had the marble in them is because they used that to keep the gas inside the bottle because they didn't have the means of keeping a gaseous liquid in a bottle.
It makes sense.
So that carbonation then, Paul, as well. Sorry, I know that's a slightly different.
Carbonated, yeah. So, originally, they used to have them in corked bottles, but what would happen is that the cork would dry out and the cork would pop. So the Victorians had to design a method of sealing carbonated water drinks without all these problems involved. And a man called Herman Codd came up with hence the name.
Sorry, I don't know why we're laughing. Yeah.
No, I was laughing because I had this image of like a guy with a fish head on. Herman Codd.
Yeah, I know, it's a strange name, isn't it? I remember growing up with that.
Yeah. Another high value item, I believe, from what I read somewhere, Paul, was I know Trev's going to come out with something silly with this, but
I promise you I won't.
All right, okay, thanks for that.
Obvious.
Well, what it was, Paul, is that I've read that Vaseline glass is quite well respected.
Vaseline glass? Well, I think you got me there. I've got Vaseline glass bottles, but you've probably done more research than me, Wayne. Can you enlighten me?
So it was. Now, this is where Trev probably can't hold back and says Wayne's always looking for Vaseline.
Be honest, after you've mentioned the word Vaseline, it's very hard to hold back. I'm sitting here
and docks
my teeth in
rods.
the bottom of my lip, really biting hard, but. No,
I'm not familiar with the term. I've got Vaseline jars.
Sorry, Vaseline. Vaseline. Sorry, Paul. Yeah, sorry. I had to remember this because my research doesn't lend itself to pens, so I had to try and remember what I was reading. So I remember reading what I've already stated, and it was the high value items of what you've already stated. To be honest, I remember the cobalt blue, Vaseline jars or glass or something, and yellow green bottles, I believe, or so. It's the colours, like you said. I guess it's the work that goes into them.
Well, I think so. I mean, the colours. The reason the bottles were all different shapes and different colours was early form of advertising. So if you walked into a corner shop branding. And branding, yeah. So you'd have a bottle with you get cod bottles, for example, with different coloured lips. So the top of it would be blue or red. So it would stand out on the shelf. And the other reason they did do that was because bottles had such high value. When the bottles had been reused, they used to go to what they call bottle banks, bottle exchanges, because bottles used to get stolen and sold by hawkers onto other manufacturers.
Wow.
So by putting a red lip on it, you could identify it as being your bottle immediately. And it couldn't be used by someone else making inferior products and flogging it.
Wow.
So yes, So yeah, that's what makes them rare, I think, because certain coloured cod bottle lips, blues and browns, were only supplied to one or two local manufacturers in one area. Otherwise, everyone wouldn't know whose was whose. So,
Of course.
if you had a red top in London, it would only be an R. White's bottle or a Beatty bottle. So they could identify their bottles, and other people couldn't sell them because it was quite a big market.
So
by
if
sort of people to sell them on the black market, if you like, because they were worth a lot.
So if any of our listeners,
more.
if any of our listeners would want to take this up as a hobby, because that's what we're trying to kind of see people, encourage. But do you have to get permission on say it's on someone's land, or have you ever been caught on somewhere you shouldn't be?
Well, all bottle diggers, bottle collectors will kind of sort of look the other way when you say that, because there isn't a bit of land in this country that doesn't belong to someone. So
No.
I mean, the protocol really is to gain permission, but a lot of times that doesn't happen in case you get a refusal. So
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, because you won't think, oh, that must be really good there. But if I ask, they go, nah, sorry, fella, nah. And do people pay to go on these sites?
well,
Can you
back in
bribe the
80s
farmer, kind of thing?
Well, I think it goes on. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah,
landowners.
backhanders of farmers.
Yeah, I mean, there's been thousands of pounds exchanged. I know that for a fact. With some landowners who have got a really good Victorian Edwardian dump on their land, people have discovered it for one way or another, and offered the farmer good money, or the landowner good money, to dig it exclusively. And in fact, back in the 80s, when the hobby was quite big, landowners that discovered they had a Victorian dump on their land made good money out of it, because it's a bit like going to a fishing lake for the day. You'd pay your £10 and go fishing. You got a kind of day ticket onto the land, and you could dig a hole and then go away and take what you found with you. So some people did make quite a lot of money out of it in the old days, as they say. It doesn't really exist so much now.
Talking of lots of money changing hands, Paul, I'm going to give you the chance to take part in something where money can't buy you in now, and it's our weekly quiz, which used to be called Test Trev, as you might have heard. We now do a Test a Guest.
Oblige.
Well, it's don't worry, it's not a say. I mean, trying to do research for this actual subject I found really difficult, to be honest. So I had to literally just do a bit of reading. As you know, I haven't got a pen, so I had to do a bit of reading and kind of make some questions up, and we've covered some of it, I think. So it's just a bit of fun. It's mostly so I can somehow get some revenge on Trev.
Paul,
Yeah,
it basically is to make me look as stupid as he can.
yeah, and that's why he gets to me beforehand. So
Let's see how good your research is.
so we've got a bit of an intro into it, Paul, if you don't mind. And here we go. Test the guest. We're going to test the guest. We're going to test the guest. We're going to test the guest. Test the guest. Right.
Wow, that's special.
Sorry about that.
Like
that.
Yeah, we have to apologise after that.
We've had people call it something different than special, but we'll take that in this one.
Yeah.
I'm being polite.
I'll go to first question to you, Paul. It's only 4 questions in total, 2 each.
Okay.
After which decade were bottles manufactured mostly by machine? And I'll give you the 4 possible answers. Was it 1890s, 1910s, 1920s, or 1950s?
1950s.
I hate to do that.
Oh, you got the first one wrong.
It's these aren't.
That's not good, is it?
No, it's actually the 1920s. I haven't got any elaboration on that answer of why that was 1920s. I sometimes do that research, but
Google it later, Paul. You might have got that wrong.
no, that is right. How dare you question the integrity of Test the Guest? But as I say, these aren't easy because the dates. It's easy to get. You're going to get things that cross over, but that is in fact, when most manufacturing.
That is the official answer.
That is the official answer.
Okay.
You can come back to me later if I'm wrong, and I'll edit it to suit. I'll edit the podcast.
Well, it's kind of crossover period, but yeah, absolutely. I'll take that one on the chin.
So I'm gonna give Trev the one that would make him look the most silliest. So
Go on in.
which of the No, I'm going to go this one. Stoneware bottles were used mainly for what beverage during late Victorian and Edwardian times? Was it mead? Was it wine? Was it ginger beer? Or was it Diet Coke?
Well, I can't imagine that there was a great deal of guys walking around with their tops off, drinking Diet Coke, and women running to office windows, looking at them, going, "Oh my God, look at him!" So that one's out.
I thought you'd say that. Come on, just
Ginger beer.
You, damn you, damn you, Mr. Trev.
Sorry.
Oh dear.
That's why it's called stone ginger beer, because it came in a stone bottle.
There you go. An
see?
elaboration. Thanks, Paul.
Yeah,
Thanks for that.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, Trev knew that, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No, I didn't. Honestly, Paul, I didn't.
I was convinced he'd make himself look an arse in that one. I won't do the other date one. I'll give Paul the other one that's actually a question. Which of these items still come under the general umbrella of bottle collecting? Is it 1, China dolls' heads? Is it 2, silver goblets? 3, antique lead lights? 4, Roman cups?
It's China dolls' heads.
Well done, Paul. Can you explain that, Paul? Do you ever come across these things?
I have dug a few up. Yeah, they're the Victorian dollies, because the Victorians would have they would for children to play with. They'd have a china head and china hands and china legs and a cotton body, and they got thrown away. And I have dug a few up.
It's
Yeah.
a bit freaky if you dig one of them
All I
up.
can think of is the end of like the Planet of the Apes.
Yeah.
When he goes, Mama, Mama, Mama. Oh, Christ, that's creepy as hell.
It is quite creepy sometimes when you find them. Yeah.
Did you drop it when you picked it up, or did you go, "Oh, Christ, what's that?"
You don't expect that on a dig. Yeah.
No, exactly, no.
Trev.
A friend of mine actually dug one up with revolving eyes, so that's very
Whoa.
Oh,
No, that wouldn't be good.
that'll go straight back in the
Very
hole.
chucky. Yeah.
Yeah.
glass eyes. Yeah.
Oh,
It's more like that ventriloquist thing with Anthony Hopkins as well. It just
Magic.
reminds me- Magic, yeah, sorry.
Good
sorry,
film,
it was going,
good film.
Sorry, we're going off again. Sorry, yeah, right, back to the test guest. Trev, last question to you. In which decade did bottle collecting become popular in the UK? So is it the 19th? I think Paul actually said this.
yes, I'm going to say Paul has helped
damn.
me out here.
Yeah, this is, Paul's helped you somewhere.
Give us another one then.
19, I can't. I haven't done like loads. I've only got 4.
Oh.
But it's not like I haven't got. Some of
what
us
I
are
mean,
on
Paul?
furlough, you know.
Researching.
So is it the 1950s, 1960s, 1970s, or 1980s?
Well, as I've had help from Paul on this, because he mentioned it earlier, I believe. So it's 1980s. Oh, what?
Only a little bit. Is that, I don't know if Paul. I thought Paul said the 70s, but it is in fact the
Oh, right.
70s. But
I think he did
Yeah, it
actually.
is.
Is it? Yeah. So I wish I'd given you that one first, Paul. Now and then, obviously, we could have totally
Yeah.
whitewashed Trev. But it is what it is. Thank you for that. Good elaborations of questions. I say they were really difficult to sort of find anything on bottle
I
collecting.
did
that was
well.
worthwhile.
I hate to congratulate you, Wayne, but you
But
actually
he
did
wants
well
something.
digging
Yeah,
them
that's
out.
not going to last very long. Let's just
No.
be sensible here. Okay. Yeah. So
Very good research, I think, Wayne.
thank you very much, sir. Yeah, I quite like this man. He's doing me a right turn. Yeah. So, Paul, for like Trev touched on, is there like I dare say you guys? I think you mentioned it just before the show. You guys don't like to give away like your secret digging places, obviously. But if somebody is interested in starting this, and it's obviously if you look at these bottles, they're great. You know, they're really pretty. If you like nice things in your house, even and just fancy having a go, it's just, a lot of people like the outdoor life, and that's what it is. Where would they go? Where would you recommend to start?
Well, that's a really difficult question to answer because dumps are so hard to find nowadays because most of them have been built on as towns and cities have expanded. I mean, the Victorians used to dump their rubbish out of town, and of course, out of town is now the
inner city.
the outskirts or the inner city in many cases. So most of it's been built on. I mean, there's nowhere where you can actually go digging that I would know of now, you have to do endless research to find your own dump, really, which is part of the fun of it as well. It's very rewarding if you actually do your own research.
Would you say join a club or something, Paul? And then obviously that they can help you out with all the resources, basically.
I don't think there's so many clubs around now. There was back in the 70s and 80s. There used to be the British Bottle Diggers Club, I think it was called. But I think they've long since sort of disappeared. So it's quite a hard thing to get into, really, from scratch. It's not like golf or angling where you could go and pay to have a go. So I suppose the first thing, I mean, you can buy a lot of bottles on eBay, which is quite good, but you need to know what you're looking for. But to actually start digging, unfortunately, I think it's quite a tricky one to answer.
Yeah, there's not a kind of book like you can buy where it says like these are locations, or is it so secret?
No, I mean, there's lots of books written on bottle collecting, and they give you an idea where to look and how to find dumps, where they might be in towns and cities and in the countryside, of course. So there's a lot of books available on the market that will help you, to start doing your research. One of the biggest assets, which we never used to have in the old days, is a website called Side by Side Maps. And if you Google that, you'll find it easy enough. And basically, it's a split screen, and you'll have Google Earth on one side, and then on the other side, you'll have a series of maps that you can load on, and there'll all be the Ordnance Survey maps from Victorian times. So that helps you find locations.
Yeah, I could see why that would help. Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
that's been a massive help to me. Yeah, really big help, because you're looking for obvious things like disused pits and old sand pits, gravel pits, where Victorians would have just basically filled a hole in the ground up with their rubbish, because there was no rubbish, there was no dustman, no collections of rubbish up until probably about the 1920s. So they just dumped their rubbish. They would just literally, throw it wherever they could, often at the end of their garden.
Paul's been such a good guest. I'm determined at some point to get Paul a sponsorship with a spade company like Draper or Spear and Jackson. That would help.
Higher quality. Not that
I don't know what.
Unless you're going to give us some free spades, and then they're great, all of them.
Yeah. I can feel that Paul is a Draper man. Is there a particular spade that you need that is a good digging apparatus for?
Good question. Yeah, well done.
Yeah.
Well,
thanks.
I suppose there's lots of tools you need. I mean, a good shovel is obviously imperative, and the spade type pointed, rounded edge shovels are the best. A bit like on a playing card, the spades on a playing card. One of those, you need a really good fork, and the best type of fork is what's called a ballast fork, or a coking fork, or a potato fork. It's the same sort of thing, which has about 10 tings as opposed to 4, because that will help you. It acts as a shovel as much as a fork, so you can loosen the earth and then shovel it out all in with one tool rather than swapping from one to the other. But yeah, you do need
very quickly,
tools.
Paul. Talking of your apparatus and stuff, have you ever dug into the ground and smashed a bottle that you found and oh no?
Oh yeah.
Oh no, it's a cobalt blue. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that would be a sickener, wouldn't it?
Exactly.
It happens regularly. You can't help it. It is a sickener. Yeah.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
In fact, talking about cobalt blue cod bottles, I noticed on eBay back in the summer, someone had actually sold a small section of a broken cobalt blue cod bottle for about £500. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Just a small bit.
Well, a couple of inches of it, 2 or 3 inches of the broken one. Yeah.
If you dug that up in your garden and you found it, that's pretty, and you just lob it back in, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Chuck it over next door.
Yeah, chuck it over next door. Well, that's the kind of neighbourhood you live in.
Yeah.
That's the kind of neighbourhood. That's the kind of neighbour you are. It really is.
You ain't kidding. No, but that's great. Great information, Paul. And what we'll do is the links that you've given us, the side-by-side maps and any UK bottle collecting links, we'll put on the show notes to this episode. I think that's great. I think you've summed up
brilliant,
everything.
Paul. You've been. It's, to be honest, I was a bit like, really, when we were talking about having you on this, but I can see why people would want to do it. It's the history side of it.
It's what you're going to find.
Admit.
Treasure hunting, isn't it? It's like treasure hunting. It's the fun.
Basically,
what
it's
you're going to
great.
get. It's great. A different way of looking at hobbies. I think you spend your day on the outside. Obviously, weather probably has a lot to do with it, but you do a day on the outside. If you've got a mate that you go with, and you've got the reference, you know what you're looking for. Actually, it seems like a good day out. I'd give that a go myself.
Why did that be on his own? Because he's got no mates.
I was trying to end on a high note. Look, he just puts it in again, doesn't he? But no, that's great. We really appreciate your time today, Paul. And
thanks, Paul.
And we'll put the links. Thank you very much. And we'll put some of your, if you don't mind, we'll put some of your photos on our social media and everything. Show people what you can find, basically.
Absolutely. And in the meantime, I'll dig out some info of some of the books that if anyone is interested. Perhaps you'll be able to.
That's
put
kind
those,
of you, Paul. It's very good. That's brilliant of you.
Onto that page.
Top man. Thanks for joining us today, Paul.
Thanks, Paul. It's been great.
Cheers.
Well, thank you, Trevor. Thank you, Wayne. It's been a pleasure. Thanks very much.
So, Trev, after that, are you going to get your hands down and dirty in the dump?
I'm going to get my fingers right in it. Right in it. Going to get them right. Yeah. Because you don't know what you're going to find. You know what? The one I really like, I don't know why, because it conjured up kind of like the poison ones with the skull and crossbones.
Yeah, you didn't believe me, did you?
Great, isn't it? No, I didn't believe you. You're
was that
right.
evil pirate laugh? Because you thought I was like, you were going, it's not pirates' way. You were really sincere with that. And I was like, yeah. And I was sure I'd seen it. And Paul was like, yeah, Wayne's right. Yeah, that's cool. I'd never felt so elated in my life. Again, this is because I'm so poor, never had anything. No one's ever given me any credit, nothing. Poor me.
Played with mud from the age of 5.
Yeah, played with mud from the age of 5. Hadn't done anything. All of a sudden, I've been elevated to, this position in life. And,
I'm glad it makes you feel like that.
Yeah, because you've got my best interests at heart, Trev, haven't you?
Yeah, making me look small elevates you to a higher ground. I feel like I've got purpose. Anyway, going back to the poison bottles, what I really like about that is I love that kind of old Victorian sort of steampunk thing.
Yes.
And this sort of laboratory where there was like all these potions and concoctions, and there's that one.
Yeah.
I think it probably reminds me of Young Frankenstein.
Yeah. Where, Gene Wilder.
Marty Feldman's got his head in there and it's like nearly dead. Exactly. It makes you think of that, like Frankenstein, poison on bottles. Yeah, I really, honestly,
It's funny, it evokes memories. It's what I mean. That's when you're collecting things like antique things. It's all about memories, isn't it? Or bringing back something from the past. I mean, it is. It's like when you go and visit a stately home. There's always something you can take from it. I often think, if I could go back 600 years, I wonder what it'd be like in here, or something.
Yeah. One of the best things about very quick story. While I went on holiday once, I went to this kind of monastery place. I think it was like in Greece or somewhere. I don't know if there's a big Catholic thing. But we were walking around and we were in one really sacred bit, and there was like a bus full of like kind of older women there who were obviously very religious because they were getting very emotional. And there was like an incense kind of holder, the sort of pendulum things
waft about.
And it had like a sort of drape over it, and it was hanging down, and it was cordoned off. But this woman got so emotional, and she had to touch it. And I was standing there, and she touched it, and she pulled it down on herself. It was the funniest thing. I had to leave. Honestly, I was crying. This woman was so emotional. She pulled this thing down, and it landed across her. So she was laying on the floor with an incense burner just going everywhere.
So you found some kind of Monty Python sketch in Greece in holiday.
Yeah, and I was just standing there. I should have helped her, but it was just funny.
Yeah, you wouldn't do that. Yeah, you would do it.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it was. And that
epitomises that thing. Yeah,
it does. It does.
Yeah. I know what you're saying. I think what I'd take from it, talking to people out there that might be thinking of taking up antique bottle collecting, is that gets you out and about in the fresh air. Yeah. You can get, again, a bit like, I'm guessing, fishing. You can go and go with your mates, go and dig your dump, as they say.
Yep.
And, spend a day in the sunshine, basically, and hoping you find treasure to all intents and purposes.
as we said to Paul earlier, the elation of finding one must be amazing.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
scoring a goal, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
just like, look at that. Look what I've got. And
Yeah.
you wipe it down, wipe the mud. You see,
Then,
oh, it's
then
one
a
of
genie
those.
comes out and says like,
Yeah, well, as long as it's not Will Smith.
yeah, no,
be honest.
it's got to be
Don't-
Robin Williams. Yeah, it'd be
Robin
much
Williams,
better.
yeah, exactly. No one like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air
Or
appearing.
like the Fresh Prince
You
of
want
Bel
more-
End, isn't it? It's all like,
yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. Oh, Mrs.
Sorry,
Oh.
sorry. If you're thinking of coming on here, Will Smith, we'll still entertain you. Obviously,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll only call you Bel End once.
yeah, just for the laugh factor, but
Exactly. No. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you'd want milk coming out your bottle, wouldn't you?
all day long. But,
Yeah.
so we'll put all the links up to all the associations for bottle collecting on the website as always. amlopodcast.com. Give us some abuse on the blue button on there. As always, we sit there
Like
all
we just
week,
did
listen
Will.
to it. Yeah, like we did Will, because we expect Will Smith to be on there singing that rap to the Fresh Prince of
Yeah.
Bel-Air that I haven't got a clue how it goes.
Rapping about how me and you are colour Bell Ends.
Yeah,
That'd be good.
exactly. And I'm sure he'll get a bigger audience than us even. So, he'll get it out to more people. You want to do that, Will? Bring it on. We're here for you, waiting for you. So, yeah, we'll put all the links up to all the bottle collecting associations in the UK and enjoy. And hope you enjoyed the show.
Yeah.
And thanks, Paul, for coming on.
Dig your dump.
Yes, dig your
that
dump. We'll see you on the next one.
Ta-da, man.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please leave a rating and review and visit our website at www.amlopodcast.com to check out all the links and resources in the show notes. Start living them good times. See you next time.